Okay, so imagine a warm, bright morning in West Hollywood. It's July 18th, 1989, and we are outside this pretty modest apartment building on Sweetser Avenue.
Right.
Inside, there's a young woman, just 21 years old. She's talented, effervescent, and she is right on the cusp of, like, absolute superstardom. Her name is Rebecca Schaeffer.
And this is a huge moment for her. I mean, everyone knew her as the girl next door from that sitcom, My Sister Sam.
Yeah.
But she was trying to pivot. She was looking for serious roles. And on this specific morning, she's waiting for a script to be delivered. And it's not just any script. She's about to audition for Mary Corleone in The Godfather Part 3.
Wow. That's a life-changing role.
Mm.
So the intercom buzzes. She's thinking, this is it. The script that could launch her into the stratosphere. She runs to the door. She's in her bathrobe. She opens it. But it's not a messenger.
No. Standing right there is a man she has never seen before. He's 19, kind of unkempt, and he's holding this yellow envelope. And what happens in the next few seconds doesn't just end a life. It completely rewrites the rules of privacy in America.
So today we're doing a deep dive into the murder of Rebecca Schaeffer. But this isn't just about retelling a tragedy. We've gone through the court documents, the police reports, all the transcripts from the Senate hearings that followed.
Mm-hmm.
Our mission here is to figure out the specific legal mechanics that allowed this to happen.
Exactly, because the central mystery isn't who did it. That was never really in doubt. We knew who did it almost immediately.
Right.
The real mystery is how. How does a 19-year-old high school dropout from Tucson, Arizona with no resources, no connections, how does he find the unlisted private home address of a Hollywood star?
And the answer, as we're going to see in the source material, it's shocking. It's not some complex heist. It wasn't hacking. It was a loophole so wide open that, looking back now, it feels completely insane that it was ever a thing.
It really does. But before we get to that loophole, we kind of have to understand the two people on this collision course. The dynamic between the rising star and the obsessed fan.
Okay, so let's start with Rebecca. By all accounts, she was the real deal. The sources, they all describe her as sweet, polite, really hardworking. She started out modeling, then landed My Sister Sam, and became this teen idol.
But she was so grounded. I mean, she was living in a regular apartment, not some huge gated mansion.
No, not at all. And then you have Robert John Bardo, and his background is a complete contrast. Youngest of 7 kids, really turbulent household in Tucson.
Yeah, a very difficult childhood. He spent time in foster care. He was diagnosed with bipolar disorder. He dropped out of high school and was working as a janitor at a Jack in the Box.
And when you look at his psychological profile, you see this wasn't his first obsession, not even close. This was a pattern.
Absolutely. Before Rebecca, he was stalking Samantha Smith, the child peace activist.
Oh, right.
Until she tragically died in a plane crash. Then he sort of fixated on the pop stars Tiffany and Debbie Gibson for a bit, but he couldn't get close to them. And then in 1986, he sees a promo for My Sister Sam, and his focus just shifts entirely to Rebecca Schaeffer.
He starts writing her letters, a lot of them. And at first, Rebecca, being the kind of person she was, she actually replied. The sources say she sent him a photo with a little heart drawn on it. He called it a treasure.
He did, but the tone, it shifted. And this is where it gets really dark psychologically. The trigger for the violence wasn't rejection, not at first. It was a movie.
Scenes from the class struggle in Beverly Hills.
Exactly. She took this role in a black comedy, to shed that teen idol image. There was a love scene, a sex scene. And when Bardo saw that, something just snapped.
In his mind, she'd lost her innocence.
Yeah. He called her another Hollywood whore, and he decided she had to be punished for becoming something that he felt he couldn't attain.
That's the terrifying switch, isn't it? From adoration to this, need to destroy. So looking at the timeline, he decides to go to L.A., but first, he needs a weapon.
Right, and because of his mental health history, he couldn't legally buy a gun himself in Arizona.
So he just gets around that.
Totally bypasses it. He asks his older brother to buy the gun for him. It's a classic proxy purchase. His brother buys him a .357 Magnum. Bardo takes the gun, a copy of The Catcher in the Rye.
Which is so eerie. It's what Mark David Chapman had when he killed John Lennon.
It is. And he gets on a bus to L.A.
He gets to her neighborhood on the morning of July 18th. He finds the building. He rings the doorbell. And this part of the police report is just so hard to read because of all the what-ifs.
It really is. The first time he rings, Rebecca answers. She's expecting that script, remember? She sees Bardo, and she's polite. She signs an autograph for him. She asks him not to come back again. And he leaves.
He leaves. He just walks away. Goes to a diner, has breakfast. He has the autograph. He met her, you'd think, They'd hope that would be it.
But for a stalker like Bardo, it's about possession. It's about control. The obsession wasn't satisfied. So an hour later, he walks back. He rings the buzzer again. Rebecca answers, probably frustrated this time. She opens the door.
And that's when he pulls out the gun.
He shoots her once in the chest, point blank. And the detail from the witness statements that just always sticks with me. As she was lying there in the doorway, her last words weren't anger. They were just confusion. She just asked why.
Why? Just heartbreaking. She was 21.
Bardo fled. He threw the book and a shirt onto a roof. He was later caught just wandering in traffic on a freeway back in Tucson. He confessed immediately.
So it's an open and shut case, really. Marcia Clark, later of O.J. fame, she prosecutes him. He's convicted, life without parole.
Yeah.
But that brings us back to the real mission of this deep dive.
Yeah.
The how.
Yes.
Secure building, unlisted number, no social media. How in the world did he find her?
And this is the reveal that changed everything. Bardo paid a private investigator in Tucson. Total cost, $250.
$250. That's what a life is worth.
Apparently, he gave the PI a photo of Rebecca and said he was an old friend just trying to, reconnect.
Okay, so you'd think the PI would have to do some real spy stuff. Surveillance, digging through trash. But the sources show it was so much simpler.
Oh, way simpler. And this is the part that will floor you. The investigator didn't break a single law. He didn't hack anything. He just filled out a form and sent it to the California Department of Motor Vehicles.
The DMV. The data broker in this story wasn't some shady hacker. It was the state of California.
It's unbelievable today. But in 1989, motor vehicle records in most states were public information. For a few bucks, like $4 or $5, anyone could give the DMV a name or a license plate number, and the state would just hand over the home address.
So the PI takes Bardo's $250, pays the DMV $5, and pockets the difference.
Exactly. And states like California were making millions of dollars a year selling this data. It wasn't a glitch. It was a revenue stream. The government literally handed the stalker a map to his victim's front door.
That is just terrifying in its simplicity.
Yeah.
It was a legal transaction. And what's wild is that while Rebecca's case got the headlines, this wasn't just a celebrity problem.
Yeah.
This was a systemic danger to everyone.
That's such a crucial point. The Senate hearings that followed uncovered this widespread abuse. There was a case of robbers in Iowa.
I saw that in the transcripts, yeah.
This gang would sit in mall parking lots, write down license plates of expensive cars, then go to the DMV, get the addresses, and rob the houses. It was a shopping list for criminals.
And then there was that example of the lonely man, which reads like a horror movie script.
Yeah, in California, a guy sees a woman he finds attractive on the freeway, copies her plate number, gets her address from the DMV, and sends her a letter that reads, "I'm lonely. I'll give you 1 week to respond, or I will come looking for you."
I will come looking for you. And he knows exactly where to look.
It was also used for political targeting. Anti-abortion groups were using license plates to track patients leaving clinics. They'd get their home addresses and harass them, sending black balloons, venomous hate mail.
So you have robbers, predators, political extremists, all using the DMV as their personal phone book.
And we have to mention Teresa Saldana, another actress stabbed in 1982 by a stalker who used the same method. She survived. She became a huge advocate for victims, but the laws just moved too slowly to save Rebecca.
It took Rebecca's murder to finally wake the system up. So let's talk about the legislative response, because the system did react.
It did, and it was fast. In 1990, just a year later, California passed the nation's first anti-stalking law. Before that, police couldn't really do much until an attack actually happened. This law criminalized the act of stalking itself.
But the big one, the federal one that closed the DMV loophole we've been talking about, that was the Driver's Privacy Protection Act, the DPPA.
Yes, passed in 1994, sponsored by Senator Barbara Boxer and others. It fundamentally changed how the government handles our data. It basically made it illegal for DMVs to just hand out personal information without your consent. It closed that box of secrets.
Now, this seems like total common sense today. Who would argue against this? But there was pushback. And it wasn't from criminals, it was from journalists.
Right. This is where it gets nuanced. Media groups opposed the DPPA. They argued that DMV records were vital for investigative reporting, for the public good.
Like finding school bus drivers with hidden DUI convictions.
Yeah.
That was an example they used.
Exactly. Their argument was if you close these records for privacy, you're also protecting bad guys. It was a genuine clash of values, privacy versus transparency, and it went all the way to the Supreme Court.
Reno v. Condon. South Carolina sued the federal government over it.
They did. They argued it was a states' rights issue. This is our data. You can't tell us what to do with it. But the Supreme Court disagreed unanimously. And their reasoning is fascinating. They used the Commerce Clause. They ruled that because states were selling this data across state lines, your personal info is an article of commerce.
So the legal logic that protects our privacy is that our home address is a product.
Essentially, yes. Because states were treating our data like a commodity, Congress had the right to regulate it like any other product. Privacy won, but it won because our data was viewed as a market good.
That is cynical, but I guess effective.
Hmm.
So because of Rebecca Schaeffer, everyone listening right now doesn't have their home address sold by the state for a few dollars.
That is her legacy. A terrible tragedy that built a shield that now protects millions.
But I want to end on this one thought. We closed that analog loophole. The DMV filing cabinet is locked. But are we actually any safer today?
That is the lingering question, isn't it? We all carry tracking devices in our pockets now. We tag our locations and photos. We broadcast where we are all the time.
The sources mention stalkerware, apps designed specifically to track people without their consent.
Exactly. In 1989, the danger was the government selling your data. Today, the danger is often us just giving it away, clicking I agree on terms of service we never read. We've moved the threat from a government file cabinet into our own smartphones.
The stalker's intent hasn't changed, just the tools. It makes you realize privacy isn't something you win once. It's a constant battle.
Absolutely. A vital piece of history that defines the privacy rights we have today, but also a warning.
Well, on that note, maybe go check your location settings after this. Thank you for listening. We'll catch you on the next deep dive.